know that my husband Lucas does not love me, but I just want to live a stable life. Until one day, his childhood friend Sophie was hospitalized due to a relapse of her old illness. Lucas, with red eyes, was crying outside the emergency room waiting for her. The doctor said that Sophie needed a blood transfusion. Lucas grabbed me and said to draw her blood. Their blood types are the same, and Sophie has always received my blood. Now I realize that the 500 milliliters of blood drawn during my monthly checkups for the past few years was all given to Sophie. I actually supplied her with blood for 5 years. Frequent blood draws have left me weak, with cold hands and feet, and severe stomach pains. Before I lost consciousness, I wanted to call out to Lucas, but he happily left once he got the blood. When I woke up, the doctor told me that excessive blood loss caused a miscarriage. My child is gone, and the child's father is taking care of another woman. I am disheartened. I picked up my phone and sent a message. If I divorce, would you still be willing to marry me? As soon as I sent it, Lucas came to my bedside. He saw my pale face and was clearly taken aback. Then impatiently said, "It's just a blood draw. Is it necessary for the hospital to arrange a bed for you? Does being pregnant come with special treatment?" Sophie just woke up. The doctor said she can only eat light food. You should go home and make some congee to bring. Lucas seems unaware that my excessive blood transfusion caused the miscarriage. He is still thinking about his Sophie. Does he even know that his child is gone, leaving no trace behind? I held back my discomfort and looked up to ask him, "All these years you deceived me into getting checkups. Was it really to give my blood to Sophie?" Lucas looked away, touched his nose, and realized he had accidentally let it slip. "The checkups are real, anyway. They need to draw blood. What's the harm in drawing a little more? You know Sophie isn't in good health." Looking at me with questioning eyes, Lucas's tone gradually became impatient and a bit dissatisfied. "You rely on me to support you. Haven't I treated you well? It's just a little bit of your blood. Is it really worth making such a fuss? Is it really worth it? Is it necessary?" "Of course it's necessary." His casual lies destroyed my health, caused me to lose my child, and took away all my hopes. I did love Lucas in the past, but I wasn't foolish enough to help her for 5 years for nothing. "Did you marry me just for my blood?" Lucas was stunned and couldn't say a word. I understood it at a glance. "Stop talking nonsense. Stop throwing a tantrum. Sophie is still waiting to have her porridge." I felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. My body was cold, but my mind was exceptionally clear. "You want me to serve you? Not a chance. You." Lucas was shocked and angry, pointing at me. He never expected that I, who usually tolerated him and greeted him with a smile, would say such words. Seeing that I ignored him, he angrily turned around and left. The ward was empty. I felt something wet on my face, and then realized I was crying. I remembered the day I first met Lucas. I had a car accident and was knocked to the ground, with no one around daring to help me. Only Lucas ran over without hesitation and took me to the hospital. He has been taking care of me with great care. He works in design, and I'm an artist. I didn't expect we would get along so well. Later, he proposed to me, and I agreed. At that time, I felt that I had found true love and had the most wonderful marriage. After Sophie appeared, Lucas seemed like a different person. Seeing that Sophie looked a bit like me, I suddenly realized. It turns out those gentle looks he gave me were not meant for me. He was looking at Sophie through this similar face. The original version is back, and I am no longer the one he needs. He went from being passionate to being as cold as ice, not even coming home, spending all day with Sophie. I initially wanted to leave, but then I found out I was pregnant. For the sake of the child, even though my relationship with my husband was strained, I endured, just wanting to safely wait for the baby to be born. But now, it all feels meaningless. From falling in love to looking forward to being together, all the dreams about love have lost their meaning. Perhaps the child doesn't want me to make mistakes anymore, using life to awaken me. It's been 5 years, a full 5 years, and it turns out everything was fake. I stared blankly ahead, unable to come to my senses for a long time. The phone rang. It was a message from Ethan. He said, "I'm willing. I've been waiting for you all along." After that, I stayed in the hospital for a few days and only got discharged when I felt better. During this time, Lucas didn't come to the hospital to see me even once. Perhaps he didn't even know I was hospitalized. After all, he has been taking care of Sophie and hasn't even gone home, so he naturally wouldn't notice I was missing. Or maybe he actually knows but just doesn't want to see me. Sophie has been posting photos and videos on social media. I saw in one of her videos that Lucas was carefully feeding her porridge, helping her wipe her hands and feet, and reading her storybooks. He seemed particularly patient. Compared to how he took care of me in the hospital, his kindness to me now is 1,000 times more gentle. I finally understand that the things that once made my heart flutter really aren't that significant. As long as you're by my side, I'm not afraid of any tough days. With you by my side, I'm afraid of nothing. Sophie's words are still so heart-wrenching, as if they are the perfect match. While I, the real wife, seem to be non-existent. I have been keeping up with Lucas and their activities. I know everything they have done over the years. Because Sophie always sends me the photos. You should take the initiative to divorce Lucas. He is with you just because he sees you as my shadow. You don't want him to be unhappy like this forever, right? Emily, don't be so selfish. I still clearly remember when she first sent me those messages. I was completely stunned. I flipped through those photos that I had memorized by heart again and again, feeling indescribably sad. In the photos, Lucas is holding her hand, taking her to concerts, going to Disney to watch movies, and doing pottery. Under the fireworks and lights, the way Lucas looked at Sophie was something I had never seen before. But Lucas never agreed to do any of those things with me. He finds it troublesome and a waste of time. It's just how he feels about people. I was lost in thought looking out the window when suddenly the phone rang. It was a video call from Sophie. I had a bad feeling and my hands trembled as I opened my phone. On the screen was a shocking image of the two of them embracing, accompanied by uncomfortable sounds of breathing. Lucas, when can you divorce and marry me? Sophie, you need to behave. After Emily gives birth and I get custody, I will divorce. Are you not afraid of pain? It would be great for our family of 3 to be together. Besides, you still need her blood right now. Cold words mixed with gasps pierced my heart. In the frame, Sophie glanced at me with a smug smile, as if mocking me for being a pitiful creature unloved by anyone. This is really too stupid. I forced myself to suppress the discomfort in my heart and hit the record button. Ethan, can you help me draft a divorce agreement? As soon as I sent the message, I quickly received a reply. Before long, the document was sent over. It seemed he had prepared it long ago, just waiting for me to say the word. This made me feel particularly at ease. I've known Ethan longer than I've known Lucas. We practically grew up together. After my parents divorced, I lived alone, and Ethan helped me a lot. When he confessed his feelings to me, I had already agreed to marry Lucas. But he still said he would wait for me forever. However, after I got together with Lucas, my contact with him decreased more and more. I thanked him and casually handed the contract to Lucas, adding a note that we should get a divorce. Lucas didn't reply for a long time. He might be with Sophie and too busy to pay attention to me. I ignored them and went home after completing the discharge procedures. After 5 years of marriage, this home is filled with memories of me and Lucas. Although he has rarely come back in the past 2 years. But in this lonely house, I can still recall those warm moments. At that time, we each held a paintbrush. He did the design while I painted. I always dragged him to be my model, painting one portrait after another, nearly filling my studio. He is a well-known designer who has created many famous jewelry necklaces. At that time, I was drawn to one of his design sketches, which depicted a lifelike butterfly bracelet. I tried to act cute to get it, but he said it was an exclusive design for the company and couldn't give it to me. So he bought me a bracelet on Amazon as a gift. I was overjoyed when I received the gift and cherished it dearly. But later I found out that the butterfly bracelet I could never get was actually on Sophie's wrist. It matched perfectly with the necklace, earrings, and ring. The whole set was complete. Sophie's show-off demeanor made me realize that the treasures I desire but cannot have are countless and worthless to her. I stood there dazed, sorting through my things, tearing up the drawings I had made for Lucas one by one. I waited for a long time. Lucas didn't come, but Sophie did. Spoiled and pampered, Sophie always has a crowd around her when she goes out. This time she stormed in with a group of bodyguards. As soon as she saw me, a look of disdain appeared on her face. I heard you're getting a divorce from Lucas? At least you have some self-awareness. He doesn't have time to come, so I'm here to clear out the things from outsiders. Sophie sat down confidently, as if she were the owner of this home. I looked at her, momentarily at a loss for words. She glanced at the drawings I had organized and smiled dismissively. I thought you were some great artist. They look just okay. With a wave of her hand, the bodyguards immediately started tossing my clothes out the door, scattering them everywhere. As for the child in your belly, you don't have a job now, and the child won't have a good life with you in the future. Why not just give up custody rights decisively, so the child can have a better life in the future? What do you think? I stared intently at Sophie, my hatred surging like a tide. My child is no longer here, and she still won't let him go. Even the paintings I cherished were casually thrown away by her subordinates. I was so angry that I stood up abruptly, wanting to rush over and hit her, but was stopped by the bodyguard, crashing heavily to the ground, looking quite disheveled. Sophie saw me like this, and not only was she not angry but instead laughed, her eyes full of mockery. She walked over to me, who was held down by the bodyguard, and slapped me across the face. I suddenly felt a surge of strength, shook off the bodyguard, and grabbed Sophie. I pressed her head and slammed it against the corner of the table, and she fainted immediately. Emily, what are you doing? Lucas's voice came through. Do you think you're in a drama? Just when I was resisting, Lucas suddenly appeared to help the protagonist. Seeing the situation, he hurried over to push me away, shouting angrily, "What are you doing? If anything happens to Sophie, I won't let you off the hook. Are you trying to make me uncomfortable? What can he do to me? I have nothing left to lose." Lucas was calling for an ambulance while gently holding Sophie with red eyes, not forgetting to glare at me. Seeing the anger and hatred in his eyes sent a chill down my spine. When the ambulance arrived, he quickly picked up Sophie and rushed outside. "Lucas!" I called out to him. "Our child is gone." Lucas paused for a moment, but it was just a brief instant. Then, without looking back, he quickened his pace and left with Sophie. The ground was a mess, my precious drawings were trampled to pieces. Before long, Lucas returned. His face was grim, and without saying a word, he pulled me to the hospital. I couldn't resist, so I found a chance to secretly message Ethan. After arriving at the hospital, I found out that Sophie indeed needed my blood. I used all my strength to shake off Lucas's hand. "I'll donate blood, but only if you agree to a divorce, otherwise, I'll scream for help. Let's see how long your Sophie can hold on." Lucas shouted in anger, "Isn't it only fair for you to bleed to make up for what you've done to Sophie? How could you be so heartless?" I look at the man who once made me willing to give everything, and now I just feel I misjudged him. My child is gone because I gave blood to Sophie. Thinking of the child, my eyes reddened again, and I couldn't control my trembling. Lucas didn't say anything, perhaps he still had a bit of conscience left, feeling somewhat guilty. In the end, he relented, maybe because of Sophie, or perhaps due to that faint sense of guilt. Regardless, I got what I wanted. We finally signed the divorce agreement. From now on, I am no longer Lucas's wife, and I will never be. The cold needle pierced my vein again, and watching the blood flow out slowly, I bitterly smiled, thinking I really am like a tool for blood donation. After getting the blood, Lucas hurriedly turned to leave. Before leaving, he hesitated and looked at me, asking, "Do you want me to find someone to take you home? You don't need to worry about it." Seeing me laugh at him, Lucas frowned and turned to leave. I weakly moved outside, and after much effort, I finally reached the hospital entrance, but I couldn't hold on any longer. Just as I was about to fall, a pair of hands steadied me. Seeing me in such a distressed state, Ethan felt both heartbroken and helpless, and helped me into the car. I left the place that had trapped me without taking anything. For many days afterwards, Lucas didn't come to find me. After Sophie woke up, she yelled at me furiously and wouldn't stop, but Lucas didn't intervene. She sweetly ordered Lucas around, making him run here and there, and Lucas busily attended to her. It was rare for him to be silent. Finally able to go home, Lucas was stunned as soon as he walked in. He hadn't noticed in the rush that day, now he could see the drawings all over the floor. Some drawings were torn, while others remained intact. The drawings depicted him working hard, watering plants, and cooking. Each one was drawn by me. Only then did Lucas realize that I had created so many. Some drawings even had notes I casually wrote, like how he made sweet and sour ribs for me today, which were super delicious. "He looks really handsome when he works seriously. I want to be with Lucas and live a happy life." Lucas himself can't figure out why he keeps thinking about the past involuntarily. Since signing the divorce agreement, he has felt uneasy, as if something has slipped out of his control. He picked up his phone and opened our chat window. "Emily, It's not too late to change your mind. I cannot go through with the divorce. I've been taking care of you all these years. Where will you go after the divorce?" As soon as the message was sent, he saw a red exclamation mark. A news article suddenly popped up, and Lucas's eyes widened in shock. The headline read, "Breaking: The Century Wedding of the Starlight Group President." In the photo, his recently divorced wife appeared with a stranger. After being taken back by Ethan, he let me rest for 2 weeks. These past 2 weeks have probably been the most relaxing days I've had in years. Due to long-term blood transfusions and an unexpected miscarriage, my health has deteriorated significantly. He searched everywhere for various supplements and brought them back for me one after another. But I don't know how to face him. I impulsively asked him if he would marry me, and now I realize that it was unfair to him. But he noticed my awkwardness. That day, he fed me medicine as usual and suddenly said, "Let's get married." I was taken aback. He continued, saying that feelings can be cultivated slowly. "I just want a role that allows me to be by your side. Is that okay?" He is an amazing person. When I was bullied in the yard as a child, he always stood in front of me. After graduating from university, he started his own business and has now become a well-known company owner. But after all these years, he still protects me just like before. After my parents divorced, I was left homeless, and from that moment on, he became my only family. This might be the best choice, so I nodded and agreed. I agreed to marry him. "Ethan, I've been deceived by them all these years and have lost so much. The suffering I've endured must be repaid to them double." Ethan gently ruffled my hair and said softly, "Do whatever you want, I'm here for you." Later, I married Lucas, but we didn't have a wedding, we just registered our marriage. He said he was too busy with work and at a critical stage in his career, making it inconvenient to publicly acknowledge our relationship. I didn't quite understand at the time, but I agreed anyway. Now I realize, who would really take a substitute seriously? But Ethan is different. He went all out to throw me a grand wedding. I understand he wants to support me with his status and influence. On the day of the wedding, I indeed ran into Lucas. As the new partner of Starlight Group, the lead designer Lucas had to attend the meeting. And his companion was, of course, Sophie. During this time Ethan has been taking care of me. I have completely transformed from my pale and weak self, and now I look well. For the wedding, Ethan specifically hired a professional team to custom make the dress for me. Looking at myself in the mirror, I realized I hadn't dressed up like this in a long time, and I had wasted too much time on unworthy people and things in the past. As soon as Lucas saw me, his eyes lit up, while Sophie widened her eyes, angrily grinding her teeth. This person is really too much. She had only heard that I divorced Lucas and had secretly been pleased about it for a while. Little did she know that just a few days later, I would become Ethan's wife. She is someone neither she nor Lucas can provoke. "Brother Lucas, look. She just divorced you a few days ago and is already with someone else. There might have been issues before." Lucas's expression darkened, a hint of anger flashing in his eyes. Because of Ethan's status, they couldn't say much. The business partners came one after another to toast us, continuously offering their blessings. Everyone said that Ethan and his wife are simply a perfect match. Indeed, we do look quite compatible. The people around us kept saying flattering things, while Ethan's hand rested gently on my waist, chatting with ease. Seeing us so close, Lucas felt an inexplicable surge of jealousy. Not long ago, she was still that gentle wife quietly waiting for him at home. In just a few months, she seemed like a different person. Her demeanor was more outstanding, she looked prettier, and her actions were more composed. A subtle touch of emotion stirred in Lucas's heart. He finally realized that Sophie and I only looked alike, we were completely different in other ways. Sophie is a somewhat famous blogger, constantly filming videos and posting selfies, speaking in a soft, gentle tone. As for me, I'm much stronger in character. During these 5 years of marriage, I've never troubled him, I handle everything myself. Ethan was called away by another boss, leaving me to handle the situation alone. At that moment, Sophie walked over, pretended to twist her ankle, and spilled her red wine on my dress. She even pretended to be surprised and exclaimed, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Ethan." Everyone turned to look. She looked so smug, like a rooster that had just won a competition, unaware of how ridiculous she appeared to the other ladies. I waited to see her trip over her own feet. I lifted my skirt, nodded to everyone, and then went to the lounge to change. Emily. I turned around and found Lucas had followed me without me noticing. Why did you suddenly get married? When did you and him get together? Was it before our divorce? Lucas fired off questions one after another, his tone full of resentment. I sat down indifferently and looked at him coldly. Haven't we already ended things? Besides, weren't you getting along quite well with Sophie? Lucas was momentarily speechless, realizing he was in the wrong. Lucas, you can't have it all. Isn't it too greedy to want a devoted wife at home while also seeking an intimate friend outside? It's only been a short time, and you've already forgotten how you tricked me into marrying you, making me a sacrifice for 5 years for Sophie? On what grounds do you question me? He got anxious and grabbed my hand, wanting to explain. We were standing very close, and Sophie, who had followed us, saw the whole scene. Her nails dug into her palm. Emily, just wait and see. I pulled my hand away from Lucas, not wanting to deal with him, and turned to leave the room. Sophie was so angry seeing Lucas sneakily looking for me that she started stomping her feet. After I went out, I found a waiter to help and quietly passed a message to Ethan. Ethan completely ignored her. Seeing that he wasn't coming over, she directly rushed into the banquet hall. Ethan! The surrounding chatter suddenly stopped, and Ethan turned to look at the heavily made-up woman. Sophie smiled smugly, leaned closer to Ethan, and whispered, Ethan, don't let anyone fool you. Oh? Go ahead and tell me. Seeing Ethan's curious expression, Sophie knew she was right. She continued, your wife Emily was married before, just recently divorced, and even had someone else's child. The people around were surprised and began to whisper. Just then, I walked out and calmly stood next to Ethan. Sophie felt secretly pleased, waiting to see Ethan get angry and drive me away. But after a while, Ethan coldly looked at her and said, I grew up with my wife, I might understand her better than you. Isn't the threshold for us too low now? Anyone can just walk in. She turned to glare at the boss of Lucas's company. The boss panicked. He had just secured a collaboration with the Starlight Group and couldn't let it fall apart like this. He hurriedly stepped forward, bowed, and forced a smile, repeatedly saying, Ethan, it's all a misunderstanding. It's my subordinates, people who don't understand the rules. I'll have them removed immediately. After saying that, he signaled to the security, and several people rushed over to grab Sophie and pull her out. Sophie was so frightened that her face turned pale. In her struggle, she knocked over a nearby wine glass, spilling the drink all over herself. She screamed in panic, looking extremely disheveled. Lucas! Please help me! Lucas, who had just returned home, was stunned by the scene. Just as Lucas was about to step forward, he was stopped by the boss, who told him to quickly apologize to Ethan and his wife. He could only watch helplessly as his female companion was taken away, feeling even more ashamed to be scolded in public. I witnessed their embarrassment firsthand. In the past, Sophie had also had the bodyguards drag me like that. Now it was her turn. What goes around comes around. Lucas was dragged over by the boss, reluctantly stepping forward, bowing with the wine glass in hand, and apologizing in a low voice. Ethan had no intention of forgiving them at all. Lucas could only hold up the wine glass, feeling at a loss. Even the most talented designer is nothing in the face of real money and power. I understood Ethan's meaning and let Lucas bend there for quite a while before slowly saying, let's continue. The sound of the violin at the banquet started again, and everyone began chatting enthusiastically. Ethan pulled me around and left, not even glancing at Lucas. As the chief designer, Lucas is usually in high demand wherever he goes. This is the first time he felt so embarrassed. It was simply humiliating. But he could only swallow his anger and silently watch my receding figure. Not long after, the two companies were about to reach a collaboration and were preparing for a new product launch. Since the last incident, Lucas dared not take Sophie to the site anymore. After returning home that day, Sophie cried for a long time, but Lucas did not comfort her again. Due to her mistake, he lost face in the meeting and was targeted by his boss after returning. He never expected that the first stumbling block in his smooth career would be the person he cared about the most. Lucas realized that Sophie wasn't smart enough, and he unconsciously compared her to me. Lucas, why can't I go to this launch event? Sophie wiped her tears, pulling at Lucas's arm with a sense of grievance. Lucas appeared very impatient. This launch event was especially important to him. Everyone in the industry was watching his design, and it absolutely could not go wrong. He won't let anyone interfere with his career anymore. Brother Lucas, why aren't you saying anything? Do you think I'm embarrassing you? It's all Emily's fault. Lucas's expression darkened, and he immediately shook off her hand. Enough! Stop being so relentless. She's so understanding, and look at you. Are you trying to drag me down too by saying those things in front of everyone like an out-of-control person? Do you think exposing Emily will benefit me in any way? Sophie was stunned by Lucas's scolding, frozen in place for a moment. This was the first time Lucas had treated her like this. In the past, he would agree to whatever request she made. But now, for that woman and for the career he talks about, he suddenly turned his back on her. Sophie was so angry that her face changed, her rage exploding like thunder, uncontrollable. Watching Lucas walk away, she finally made up her mind. On the day of the press conference, Lucas indeed didn't bring Sophie along. Ethan, as the investor, naturally came as well. I walked into the venue holding Ethan's hand. Lucas is standing not far away, dressed formally in a suit, but he doesn't look well. I pretended not to notice him staring at me. Ethan is chatting with a client, and I'm standing beside him, lost in thought. At that moment, the bodyguard who had been quietly following suddenly leaned in and whispered a few words to Ethan. He frowned and turned to relay the message to me. As expected, Sophie couldn't hold back. Since she came looking for me, I won't hold back either. I pretended everything was fine and drank the wine handed to me by the waiter, even with someone secretly watching. I felt a bit dizzy and stepped out of the hall to find the restroom. A waiter came over to support me and said, "Ma'am, there's a lounge this way. Let me take you to rest." I walked into the lounge and collapsed onto the bed, pretending to be drunk. Before long, Sophie indeed showed up. She is still as foolish as ever. Looking at me lying on the bed, he smirked and contemptuously said, "Emily, you really disappoint me. Today, I'll make you understand the consequences." Unexpectedly, I suddenly sat up from the bed. Sophie was startled and instinctively took 2 steps back. You actually lied to me." I calmly looked at her angry expression and found it amusing. I clapped my hands, and the bodyguard outside immediately rushed in and pinned her to the ground. Sophie had no way to resist and could only glare at me fiercely. "Emily, what do you want to do? I'll do to you what you want to do to me." The bodyguard brought a glass of wine. "This wine was specially prepared for me by you. I think it's better if you drink it yourself. What do you say?" I pried open Sophie's mouth and forced the drugged wine down her throat. She choked, her eyes red, and lay on the ground in a messy state. "Emily, what are you so happy about? Isn't it just that you've found a backer now? Weren't you obediently listening to me before? How's that? It must not feel good to be used by others for these 5 years, right?" Sophie shouted excitedly, "If it weren't for me saying I wanted a child, Lucas wouldn't even be with you. It's a good thing the child wasn't saved, otherwise, they wouldn't be happy if born." She lost control of her emotions and said hurtful things. I looked down at her, my face showing no emotion. I knew she was about to suffer the consequences. As the effects of the medication kicked in, Sophie slowly fainted and collapsed on the ground. Whatever she has to face next is all of her own making. The press conference outside continued as usual. Lucas plugged in his USB drive and showcased his new design to the collaborators. This design was completed after a lot of time and effort from him and his team, so he was very confident. Lucas adjusted his suit and walked onto the stage. As the design behind him was revealed, it drew a wave of admiration. The people in the audience whispered among themselves, their eyes filled with approval. Seeing the positive response, Lucas proudly lifted his head slightly, unconsciously searching for me in the crowd. I stood in a corner not far away, feeling only laughter inside, waiting to see him bask in glory and then fall to the bottom. "Wait!" Suddenly, someone in the crowd raised their hand. "I saw this design almost identical online 2 weeks ago. Could designer Song have copied it?" Lucas on stage widened his eyes in surprise upon hearing this. "You're talking nonsense. I spent half a year completing this design." Whispers arose from the audience, and this time everyone looked at Lucas with skepticism. The person who raised the question walked directly onto the stage and found the similar design he mentioned. Upon comparison, it was found that apart from the color and background image, the design was basically the same as Lucas's. Lucas, who was initially full of confidence, was now wide-eyed in shock. "Impossible! How could this happen? This design draft is the company's top secret, almost no one knows about it except for him and his team members. Who could it be? Who would target him? Lucas broke out in a cold sweat, his mind racing through faces, desperately thinking about who could be the most likely culprit. He suddenly remembered that last time Sophie borrowed a USB drive from him, saying she needed to save her video materials. That's right. It's her. Lucas, what is going on? If you don't clarify this today, everyone in the company will be unemployed along with you. The audience had already started to question him. Lucas quickly grabbed his phone to call Sophie, only to suddenly notice a text message from her room 1203, the answer is there. He put down his phone, disregarding everyone else, and immediately rushed upstairs to the lounge. As he pushed the door open, he caught sight of clothes scattered on the floor and then heard rapid breathing. That sound was familiar to him. Walking into the inner room, he indeed saw two people tightly embraced. Lucas realized that the person he was on top of was actually Sophie, the one he cared about the most. He was instantly filled with rage, feeling the pain of betrayal surging in his heart. But there was no time to think about that now. There were still a bunch of things waiting for him to handle downstairs. Sophie, what are you doing? Lucas's roar interrupted the two of them. The stranger saw someone come in and hurriedly put on his clothes and ran out. Lucas walked over and pulled up the still-dazed Sophie. Sophie looked up, her hair disheveled and her voice choked with tears, saying, "Lucas, you finally came. Tell me, Sophie, did you leak my design draft?" Sophie suddenly froze. In order to sneak into today's event, she indeed agreed to help someone and stole Lucas's USB drive. Who told them to make her life difficult? But she didn't expect things to be exposed. She intended to harm me but ended up suffering herself. Seeing Sophie stammering, Lucas immediately understood. He was furious, not even bothering to investigate the matter of Sophie being with others. Lucas grabbed Sophie's hand, casually draped a bathrobe over her, and pulled her downstairs. He shouted to the people in the room, "Listen everyone, all my design drafts were stolen by her, and she just admitted it herself." Lucas! Sophie's eyes widened, her face filled with surprise. The mocking gazes from those around her made her very uncomfortable. But isn't this the companion you brought, Director Song? Some who attended the last wedding sensed something was off. Lucas quickly said, "No, I'm not familiar with her. I linked arms with Ethan, watching them perform like clowns. It was I who instructed Sophie to steal the USB drive, and I arranged for her to sneak into the event. But just relying on these is not enough. I've invested 5 years of effort, and there's my child as well." I gave a sidelong glance to the person next to me. In the next moment, an inappropriate video suddenly played on the hall's screen. In the video, Lucas and Sophie were embracing each other without clothes. Although the footage was edited and there was no sound, it still left everyone present in shock. "Oh no! Look over there!" Lucas and Sophie in the center of the hall were being pointed at, surrounded by mocking laughter. This video was Sophie's way of provoking me shortly after my miscarriage. No one expected it would become excellent material for their performance on stage. Lucas's expression changed repeatedly, his chest heaving with anger. He didn't realize this was a video call. Just seeing the footage made him think Sophie was secretly filming. He suddenly exploded with anger, losing his usual gentle demeanor, and yelled at Sophie, "Sophie, you've gone too far." Before Sophie could explain, Lucas grabbed her and pushed her away forcefully. Sophie hit her head on the corner of the table and fainted on the spot. The head of Lucas's company was livid, his face red with anger. This collaboration was definitely ruined. What's worse is that with such an incident happening under their main responsibility, no one will dare to cooperate with their company in the future. The press conference ended abruptly. People gradually left, and Lucas sat there helplessly. It's all over now. The company will definitely fire him, and he'll have to pay a huge sum. No one will use his designs anymore. His whole life is ruined. Suddenly, Lucas looked up and saw me standing nearby, gazing at him with a complicated expression. Everyone around us had left at some point, leaving just him and me. "Emily!" Lucas hurriedly ran towards me in a panic. "Please help me! Please help me! Sophie framed me!" Lucas spoke loudly, emotionally, with red eyes. Seeing that I didn't respond, he quickly took out his phone and searched, finally finding a photo of a drawing I had made for him before. "Emily, look, these are all the drawings you made for me before. We used to be so good together. I was just confused by Sophie. I still love you in my heart, Emily." Please help me. I looked at the flustered and submissive man in front of me, and I felt particularly pleased. The past feelings, those memories, and so-called love were just lies he spun when he was at his wit's end. This person is selfish to the extreme. He abandoned his wife and child, and later showed no mercy to his lover. He only ever cares about himself. Now the situation has reversed. It's no longer me lying weakly in a hospital bed being mocked by him, but him kneeling on the ground, begging me to spare his life. Lucas, everything happening today is your own doing. No one can help you. I looked down at him, my face filled with mockery, my voice icy cold. To make them understand my pain, I must make them lose their most important possession. For Lucas, fame and status are the most important. Now he has nothing, but how can that compare to the pain of losing my child? Emily! Lucas was furious, struggling to get up and grab me, but the suddenly appearing bodyguard pressed him down to the ground. Ethan walked over, wrapped his arms around my waist, and shielded me from behind. Ethan and I walked away without looking back, completely unconcerned about Lucas's fierce gaze. The sounds of sticks and fists hitting could be heard behind me, along with Lucas's screams. I leaned against Ethan's shoulder, knowing he was teaching the other party a lesson for me. Thank you, Ethan. Ethan smiled gently, reached out to touch my hair, and asked, "What are your plans for the future?" Yes, the past is the past, and I should start a new life. What should I do? I thought for a moment and said I still wanted to paint, wanting everyone to see my artwork. All right, I support you. The severely injured Lucas and the unconscious Sophie were later sent to the hospital. Now, the two had truly become a couple sharing hardships, each lying on a hospital bed. But this time, no one could provide blood for Sophie anymore. She lost too much blood, and due to the delay in transfusion, her already weak body collapsed. She would likely spend most of her time in bed from now on. When Lucas woke up, he received a termination notice from the company and a court summons. The company sued him for damaging their reputation and image, and he might have to pay a huge compensation. The scandalous video from the party also spread, making their situation even more embarrassing. After that, I never saw them again. I know it was Ethan who blocked their messages for me. This way, I can focus on my painting with peace of mind. 6 months later, a painting called The Angel Who Lost Its Wings suddenly became popular. Many people came specifically to see this painting, but the artist is very mysterious, only going by the name Stella. No one knows who she is. Outside the exhibition, Ethan held my hand as we looked at the painting surrounded by viewers from a distance. In the golden-hued painting, a little angel has lost its wings but continues to lift its mother, running towards the light. Thank you for giving me a new lease on life.